Ash Ketchum. He gets cool Pokemon and then he shocks fans by not even using them in the next series, or by, worse, releasing them into the wilderness. Let's take a look at Ash's 6 officially released Pokemon and what they are up to these days, and figure out whether or not they might reunite with the immortal Warlock Ash Ketchum sometime in the future. Hey everyone, it's Charles. How are you today? I am currently looking for a new house, one with less cat turds on my doorstep and more rooms for more Digletts and more Nurse Joy figurines. So let me know if you have any ideas as to how I should decorate my new studio space. Anyways, Ash has officially released 6 Pokemon to date in episodes that have had fans tasting their own salty tears, but it doesn't mean that we will never see these classic characters again. So let's get reacquainted with the special 6, or perhaps not so special 6 since he released them, by breaking down 1, their history with Ash, 2, why they parted ways with him, and 3, what they might be doing now, topping it all off by rating their likelihood of returning. And just to clarify this up front, we will not be counting Pokemon left with Chaddad, Kukui, and Burnett, Pokemon Ash owned for only 1 episode, traded Pokemon, or Pokemon who are in training with another trainer or other Pokemon. But I still love you, Primeape, and you live on in our hearts, and apparently in Bakugo's hair. With that said, as always, it will be a fun time, so kindly request your Machoke to cross-chop that like button for the YouTube algorithm so hard that it breaks and gives this video a million likes. I do hope today will be the day that I earn your subscription if you are not already subscribed, and let's jump right in. Bye Bye Butterfree is an episode that brings tears to my eyes to this day. Big boy tears, of course, but tears nevertheless. Ash and Butterfree had a brief but storied history together, and as a Caterpie, Butterfree was actually the first Pokemon that Ash ever caught. He played a pivotal role in Ash's early days as a trainer, helping him learn the ropes when it came to type matchups, evolutions, and of course, the value of friendship. For instance, when Ash traded him to a gentlemanly Chad for a crappy Raticate, then teared up like a wuss and begged to get his Butterfree back because of course trading your BFFs for useless rats is very stupid. Thinking about those early days with Butterfree gives me pangs of nostalgia, like the feeling of thousands of tiny little fish nibbling at your butt cheeks. But it was only a matter of time before Ash and Butterfree's beautiful friendship was forever changed by a case of the birds and the bees, or perhaps we should say the birds and the Butterfrees. One day, Ash and friends were en route to Saffron City when they spotted a flock of Butterfree, and Pokemon breeder, but still not human breeder, Brock, pointed out that it was Butterfree mating season, so Ash led his Butterfree out to go search for a mate, winging his boy like a proper bro. And sure enough, it soon found a very special pink female Butterfree. I don't know if you know this, but I am a big fan of pink and fuchsia. And just like that, like so many real-life bromances, Ash and Butterfree's journey together came to a close. So much for bros before. Given the passion in the air back on that fateful day, I reckon that Butterfree and Mrs. Butterfree have been working hard to continue that lineage, and they likely live across the ocean somewhere with their flock. Or perhaps Mrs. Butterfree was a psycho, like so many other pink-haired anime girls, and Butterfree divorced her to head back for a helping of Saffron Seconds. Who knows? Given how perfectly Ash and Butterfree's story wrapped up, I do find it quite unlikely that Ash and Butterfree will ever reunite, as a reunion would merely cheapen the tears that we shed back then. So, bye bye Butterfree, forever. A lot of fans have hard feelings when it comes to Pidgeot, given that Ash implied he would come back to see it before embarking to the Orange Islands, and yeah, that was just 22 years ago, no biggie. For the record, in the English dub he said, "We will be back soon as we get Professor Oak's Pokeball," and in the original Japanese he said something very similar, "Yoji o sumasetara sugu ni kaite kuru kara." But to be fair, I guess he never said when he would be coming back. As Pidgeotto, Pidgeot was the second Pokemon Ash ever caught and was a valuable ally across the nearly 80 episodes they spent together. Not in official battles where it mostly got sacked like a C-tier wrestler, but as a utility friend and a professional Team Rocket balloon buster. Not to mention that he did save 10-year-old but not actually 10-year-old Ash Ketchum's little buns by flying him to the Indigo League Conference Stadium just in time for his top 16 match with Richie after a real groaner of a Team Rocket situation, making him a real hero, except for the fact that as a result, Pidgeotto was too tired to battle, and Twinkletoes was forced to use that big orange lizard, the one who seemed to hate him and cost him the match and his dignity. Now, if there is one thing that has remained consistent about the Pokemon anime over time, it is that Spearows and Fearows are absolute holes. And when the group traveled back to Pallet Town after Ash crapped his pants in the Indigo League, they actually encountered the same Spearow who gave Ash and Pikachu so much trouble way back in episode 2, except that it had evolved into a Fearow and was launching attacks on the local Pidgeiflock, along with its nasty little Spearow minions. Outgunned by his new arch-nemesis, Pidgeotto was forced to evolve into Pidgeot in order to lead his brethren into battle and unleash the full fury of his Command C, Command V powered flock, busting birds left and right, and driving those foul creatures back to wherever they came from. In the end, Ash released Pidgeot to stay on as the guardian of the flock, and that was the last we ever saw of it, outside of some flashbacks. Given Pidgeot's decision to take on the role of guardian, it is safe to say that to this day it still roams the skies outside of Pallet Town, but given how often Ash has already returned to that neck of the woods without encountering it, and given that Pidgeot didn't bail Pikachu and Mimey out when they were attacked by Spearows near Pallet Town, which would have been the perfect opportunity to bring Pidgeot back for an episode, I have to say, regrettably, that it seems very unlikely that Pidgeot is due for a return, especially not when there are so many other much more popular Pokemon that fans would love to see back in the anime, like the Fire Monkey, or the Fire Lizard, or Herman I don't give a about Flamethrower, Heracross, maybe. Ash's first catch in the Orange Islands was a beauty and his party's primary means of transportation as they traveled across the archipelago. And beyond that, Lapras was one of the 6 Titans who took ground for Ash in his hard-won victory against Drake in the Orange League Championship match by taking that nasty Gengar to a tie. Of course, Ash initially met Lapras because it had been separated from its family and beached on the shores of Tangelo Island, where he and Mouse number 1 helped it out of a bind and earned its trust. And as you'd expect, the group eventually did encounter the group of Lapras that Ash's dear friend had been separated from, and although these guys initially rejected Lapras for getting buddy-buddy with humans, what is this, Pocahontas, this was all due to their own very negative experiences with Captain Crook, a dumb-looking Lapras hunter who failed his audition for One Piece and decided to hunt schools of Lapras instead, and needless to say, he got wrecked by Team Ketchum, and thereafter Lapras' school readily welcomed it back into the fold, and thus Lapras and Ash bid each other farewell. Although we did see Lapras one more time during Ash's Johto journey, apparently having taken over as the herds leader. No doubt, Lapras is happily migrating around the seas together with its friends and family to this day. I have very fond memories of the Orange Islands segment of the show, and I would personally love to see both Cerulean Simp Tracy Sketchit and Lapras come back for a cameo. And considering that Lapras was in many ways the face of the Orange Islands season and quite popular among fans, I think it does have a very reasonable shot at making a comeback in Pokemon Journeys or a future series with a similar format. As it stands, I would say with absolute confidence that Greninja is easily the most likely of Ash's past Pokemon to make a return based on popularity alone. After all, Vanilla Greninja was the 2020 Pokemon of the Year, and Ash's Greninja was a particularly beloved fixture of the classic Pokemon XY series. Just look at this clip of Greninja, the fluid movements, the badassery, the awkwardly enormous tongue that would later end up in My Hero Academia. No wonder fans love it so much. When Ash first met Greninja, it was a renegade Froakie who'd abandoned multiple trainers because it deemed them to be loser mummy's boys. On the other hand, Ash's wildman antics won Froakie's respect, so it decided to link up with him and thereafter became a pillar of his Kalos team, with whom he mastered the Bond transformation, no earrings required, and almost, but not quite, damn it, Alan, tasted victory in the Kalos League. At the end of Ash's adventures in Kalos, Greninja stayed behind to defend defend the region from the remnants of that menacing Mighty Max toy and has continued on in that role to this day as far as we know, unless it retired and is now sipping Moo Moo Milk martinis on the beach. With Infernape and Charizard making it back into the anime, you can bet that the odds of seeing Greninja are high, and we can only hope to see Greninja fight alongside Ash once again. Greninja's scenario is quite similar to Pidgeot's Guardian mission, but its popularity is on a whole other level, and thus I am confident that we have not seen the last of it. Ash first encountered Goodra as a Goomy living in the wetlands connecting Lumiose City and Laverre City, and won its allegiance by going all out to protect Pokemon, as he so often does. As you may know, Little Goomy would eventually evolve into a pseudo-legendary Goodra who Ash invested time, love, and training into over the course of their journey together. Goodra delivered for Ash too, taking the knockout that would earn Ash his Voltage badge against Detective Conan's Luxray, but of course, all great journeys must come to an end, and in Beyond the Rainbow, Ash and the group took Goodra home to the wetlands where it bid them a tearful goodbye, only to later surprise everyone by joining Ash in the Lumiose conference, and what a nice touch that was. Not Goodra getting its ass handed to it, but the fact that it showed up to support our homie, Ash Ketchum. As XYZ drew to a close, Goodra unfortunately left us in the same episode as Greninja. What a double whammy that was. But unlike Greninja, Goodra's location is no mystery, and we can assume that it lives happily with its friends in the wetlands to this day. Ash promised it would not be the last time that they saw each other, so while Goodra could get the Pidgeot treatment, the door is open for a reunion, since not all that much time has passed since the end of XYZ. Goodra, Hugonite, I would love to see that interaction. Naganadel came to Ash as a Poipole from another world during his Alola days, and as you may remember, it really liked Pikachu. After lurking around the group for a while, it eventually did let Ash catch it and ended up playing a key role in resolving some challenges related to a Necrozma and interdimensional wormholes. It's a long story. And it also helped Ash overcome Professor Kukui in their ridiculous 4-episode long full battle that served as the true finale of the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime. And what a character. Good old Naganadel dropped Kukui's Lucario with a real zinger of a Dragon Pulse. Of course, Naganadel was never destined to remain a part of Ash's world in quite a literal sense, and as the series came to a close, a wormhole opened up above Professor Kukui's house, and it was time for Naganadel to be with those who needed it back in its own world. And that is where it remains to this day, far across space and time from the Pokemon regions we know. This departure very much had a sense of closure to it, and as such, the likelihood of Naganadel making a return seems pretty low. Of course, there is the possibility that it could be tied into the closure of Moan's storyline if that is ever opened up again, but as things stand, all we can do is look back on Ash and Naganadel's time together with a smile and treasure the memories. Well, that is as much as we know or can infer about the current whereabouts of Ash's 6 officially released Pokemon, but how about you? What do you think these 6 Pokemon are up to these days? Which of them is most likely to make a comeback? And if they do make comebacks, how would you like to see the comebacks unfold? I'm curious what you think. Well, thank you for watching. Don't forget to have your Pidgeot drill peck the living daylights out of that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really does help. Don't forget to follow me over on Twitter, where I occasionally translate things into English and such. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, let's chat.